Alfie is a WOR race winner.
Jensen makes it 5 in a row.
Danny Berejnay wins on debut.
Shinaka returns to winning ways in WOR.
Season 12 sees a new man. It's Shadow. He is your Xbox champion.
And Jensen is the new king of PlayStation.
From the back row of the grid, against all odds, Nicholas Longy wins the title.
Goes past the safety car.
What has gone on here?
Berman spins, stunning move from the Spaniard.
He's taken out Rambo. Here comes Lonke.
We're going 4 wide down to turn 1.
Oh, he's taking him out.
The captain runs is complete.
Sonic to the inside.
Shadow wins at Brazil. Absolutely sensational.
Good evening and welcome everybody to WR Tier 1. We are at the business end of the season, this stream. It is round 13, it's the Mexico Grand Prix, and as you can see on the stream, it is the champion. It was crowned not so long ago in both WR Tier 1 as well as WR Legacy Division on a Friday night. He's been absolutely unstoppable, a machine. Well, there's so many words to describe how incredible he has done this season. But Otis Lawrence is your WR Tier 1 champion in some style as well. But this week I'm joined by Ryan Jacobs 5.0. No, it's Tier 3 and Tier 2 commentator for WR, Ollie. Ollie, welcome along. I hope you're going to enjoy this one because I've enjoyed all season long.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Gareth. I've been promoted for tonight's stream. But yeah, it's been a fantastic season in Tier 1 this season. I've seen a couple of clips on the socials of Tier 1, and Otis Lawrence had a super season. You know, so many wins, and to finish off the season in style like he did, and to do it with a few rounds to go is also a fantastic achievement for him. So I believe he's got something else up his sleeve for this evening's race, but there's still plenty of action to go throughout the whole grid, and still plenty of points to fight for, Gareth.
Definitely, and I don't want to say it's always a thing where there's controversy, but controversy around this track is quite well known. You know, to cast your mind back a couple of weeks ago when the esports guys were here, and well, the least said about that the better, because there's a lot of hate going to one driver for that. But anyway, the guys are getting themselves onto the track, and well, obviously you're not up to the Tier 1. I don't want to say standards like I am, because that's not not against your commentary. It's obviously you don't watch it the full race, so you get the clippets and everything. But I mean, with Otis's plan, and he has retired from the session. He will be starting from the back of the grid tonight. So Otis Lawrence is going to do something absolutely different tonight. Anyway, let's see what he can do. But from your thoughts and from what you've seen so far, who do you think is possible for pole tonight?
Whoa, big question, Gareth. I mean, I had a quick look through the TT standings earlier on, and it was, I think it was Maccabi, Sam and Sav who were quite high up in the TT standings. And you could argue it could be them based on a TT time alone, this 1 lap pace. But then you've got to consider the title fight that's still going on for P2 in the standings. You've still got Smokey Wilson and Scyther still fighting away for that second place in the championship. So I think it's going to be a close one. For me, I think I might go with Maccabi Sam. He looked pretty quick looking at his lap time. I did have a go and try and match him in TT Gareth, and I was about 7, 8, 10 seconds off. I had no chance. But for me, I think I'll go with Maccabi Sam. But it's going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of tents splitting these top guys this evening, I'm sure.
It's going to be great to see what happens, but let's have a look at the standings quickly. And as you quite rightly mentioned, that Smokey, Wilson and Scyther are embroiled in the battle for P2. Look at that, 4 points between Smokey and Wilson, but Scyther just a little bit off Wilson at the moment. He's 9 points behind, but a pretty poor week for Wilson and Smokey last time out. Means Scyther second place at Abu Dhabi means he's closed on a little bit. All 3 drivers have had a race victory this season, and they've all had a non-point scoring finish this season each. So it is really going down to the wire, and it's going to be absolutely incredible to see. But let's go on board with someone that's maybe not had the best of luck this season, and that is FRA Placky. He's definitely been a little bit on an unfortunate side this time around, and I'm not sure why it's so. Let's change the resolution of that one. And he's already made a mistake through this part of coming down. Well, after turn 3, so FRA Placky not having the best of lucks. And let's go on board with your pick then. Let's see what he can do. McCabe Sam in the Aston Martin, and he's gone into the pits. This is not a good night for me so far, Ollie, is it?
Oh, it's McCabe Sam. I do apologise. Call him Maccabi Sam. McCabe Sam. I get that right. I just call him Sam. I think that's probably easier. But yeah, unfortunately, he's invited both his lap times, Gareth, on circuit. He was the first man on track, but just can't get a clean run in. It looks like it's Finn Bob who takes provisional pole for now with a 15.8.
So Finn Bob trying, just doing possibly a banker lap there. I can see us going down in the time frames quite quickly. And PSR Sav, definitely one to watch. I'm going to be interested to see what Sav can do. He's a top class racer here, and he's going to make it really, really tough for everyone around him, and especially McCabe Sam with your prediction. To be perfectly honest, for pole, it could be anyone from Axe, Scyther, Wilson, Sav, Sam because of his TT times as well. But I wouldn't put out the M Racer as well. M Racer has been incredibly unlucky this season and just not shown the pace that we were fully expecting. But I can still see him doing something special at one of these final 3 tracks, but time will tell. He's had a bit of a mistake though, as I seem to be able to commentate curse anyone at any track.
Yeah, I think sometimes this is just the way it goes, Gareth, with comms sometimes. But quite a few invalidations, just flicking through all the drivers, and a lot of mistakes through the first 3 corners, and also coming through the S's of 7 down to 11, which is obviously a key part to the circuit. You do not want to lose time through there at all, because you get the first part wrong, it screws you up for the rest of those corners. So a few guys making mistakes early on in this quality session, but again, cold tyres, green track, to be expected early on in a session, but still plenty of time left to go. By the time we're starting to come in thick and fast now, a few drivers finally getting round, and it looks like it's Sav who's if you look at if the game is correct, Gareth, it's he's quickest in the first sector as he comes towards the S's for his first proper flying lap time.
See, well, you keep a close eye on Sav. I'm going to keep a close eye on someone that has been definitely given a green light on Twitter for doing something special tonight, and that's Axe, and actually he's invalidated, so let's go off board with him. Sav, he's purple apparently in sector 2, if we can believe the game. He's coming into this stadium section, the lovely, really, really nice part of the track. I do like this nice tight and squirmy, and he's gone off the track a little bit there, and he is coming into the pits. He's not happy with that. Something obviously went wrong for Sav, and into the pits he goes. McCabe Sam then, so he's coming down Sector 1. Just finishing Sector 1 actually now, and let's see what he can do. Obviously, a little bit of a fair whack of love for McCabe Sam. He's a fan favourite in WOR, so let's see what he can do as he enters this really tricky SC section between turns 7 to 11.
Yeah, it reminds you a little bit of the Sector 1 in the USA, Gareth, with also a little bit of Maggers and Beckers at Silverstone, but it looks to be Sam nails that, puts a wheel off the circuit to get a better entry into turn number 12, into the entry of the stadium section here. Fantastic point of view for the fans. He comes into the final corner. Tricky tracking zone as well on the exit here, but it looks like he's got a good exit coming out of the final corner, right to curb on the inside, and is on to pole with a 15.039 for Sam. Just a few tenths quicker, well, a few hundredths quicker than the Williams in second there. But again, still a long way to go in this qualifying session, guys. Just over 10 minutes left of this session, and still plenty of drivers yet to put their lap times in here at Mexico.
Yeah, there's a fair few invalidations coming in as well. PSL Ferns just invalidated on his lap. Let's go on board with the current Tier 2 championship leader, FRA Stonks. And maybe I won't because he's coming into the pits. Axe is coming into the pits as well. Is it Finbob that's going to give us some action on the track? But yeah, don't forget, FRA Stonks is currently leading the way in Tier 2, and that'll be tomorrow night where you can get all the action from that one, and that's going to be a cracking one, to say the least. But McCabe Sam leading the way at the moment, and here comes Finbob. First guy to set a proper lap time here, and he's going to go for it yet again with just 10 minutes left of the session remaining, and something we've not picked on for the race yet, and that is invalidations here is going to cost some people massively. Penalties wise, we've already seen a fair few of these guys pushing so hard in qualifying that it could make a problem for the race.
Yeah, definitely through to 1, 2 and 3, a big area, like you mentioned. Also, you can get caught on the exit of 3, which I've done plenty of times in trying to race on social races here on the game. But Finbob, a huge tank slapper there coming through the exit of 5, and that's going to cost him a few tenths of a second there. But again, invalidations through this part of the circuit as well for Finbob. The S's, as we've already mentioned, a crucial part of the circuit. And it's a really fine line, Gareth, of cutting those curves, but you cut it a millimetre too much, that's your lap invalidate, and that could be a warning come race time as well. So the guys have to be super precise with their turning coming through that section. But Finbob still going strong coming into the final corner here. We'll see whether he can improve, but it looks like he'll come into the pits after that big slide at turn 5. He'll have to come in, new set tyres, and go once again here at Mexico.
We'll wait and see what he can do a little bit later on. But another one to definitely watch out for tonight is PSR Nick. Absolutely incredible. He was a few weeks ago. So much pace around him. He kept, I think it was Japan, he kept Otis Lawrence very honest in that one. And he really did a great work at Abu Dhabi as well. So a driver, very young, but is so skilled. I think we're going to see the next Otis Lawrence in this guy as well. And he's going to be very, very quick. So one definitely to watch out for the future, but I say the future, probably one to watch out for now. He's that good. Is he coming into this stadium section? Let's see how he can handle the pressure. And there we go. He's invalidated on that corner, and that's unlucky for him. That was, I think, turn 14 there, which are we going to see him go into the pits? I think we will. Leopard throws himself into P5 with his teammate just ahead. Let's see what WR Smokey, he's invalidated. So Sider then does momentarily. He has got pole position away from McCabe Sam at this moment in time, but McCabe Sam has invalidated his lap time. PSR Wilson then, let's see what he can do as he's coming to the end of Sector 1. Another driver really needing to show his worth tonight. I think he's a very good driver, but just has a little bit of inconsistency about him at the moment.
Yeah, like you mentioned, obviously him not getting any points last week is a big hit for his duel, you could argue, with Smokey and Scyther going into the final couple of rounds here. and we'll see what he can do. Obviously, he's behind both those guys at the moment, but again, qualifying is one game, the race is another. But he is quickest in the middle sector here. He's got no cars that should block him or get in the way or as a distraction coming into the final couple of corners here at Mexico, just exiting the stadium section now. What can Wilson do? Can he improve on fourth? He does, well, just by a couple of tenths, 2 tenths quicker on the previous lap, and he jumps Smokey onto the second row of the grid, Gareth.
Yeah, quite a solid time for Wilson at the moment, but let's go on board with Amin. His teammates just crashed out of the session, but Amin now flying the flag for Alfa Romeo on his own, but that is a big moment at turn 17, and he's dived into the pits. The back end just steps out, and that's another problem for these guys. They've got to be so careful on that throttle at turn 17, or otherwise that happens to you, and not ideal at all. Let's see what PSR Connor can do. But I'm not sure if you saw that, Ollie, but that's something these guys really have to worry about.
Yeah, I didn't see it from there, but I've seen it a few drivers, not as bad as it sounded there. The back end has stepped out, and that's caused them to lose quite a bit of time. There's Axe jumps up the P3, the 15-1, but yeah, that corner especially is tricky on the traction zone. Tricky for traction. There's a few corners like that at this circuit, Gareth, but that one especially, and that could cost you a load of positions come race time. If you make a mistake out of there and everyone else behind you with a DRS as well, be a sitting duck coming down that pit straight.
Yeah, not ideal at all, and a fair few drivers now have invalidated their lap times. Let's see. This time around, PSR Nick is just about to start his lap time. He's running out of time because at this moment in time, it looks like he'll be starting behind Otis Lawrence, even though Otis Lawrence is trying to do a last to first challenge. But, I mean, there is that question about whether you actually want to be on the front row of the grid for this track, because the run down to turn 1 is so long. You can get, if you make that an error in the first phase or the second phase, you can get caught out so easily, and all of a sudden, third, fourth, fifth, snapping at your heels.
Yeah, I think Mexico's one of the last runs from the start-finish line. Well, obviously, it's a different start-finish line, isn't it? From the start line to turn 1 on the calendar. And like you mentioned, if you mess up with the first or second phase acceleration off the grid, it can cost you a lot of time. And not only that, even if you get a good start, Gareth, the guys behind you also get a good start. They can get in the slipstream, use the ERS, and power through and get into the lead of the Grand Prix going into turn 1 and 2. So there's a lot to think about. You could argue, is it better to start in third, maybe fourth, where you can have slipstream coming down into turn 1 here in Mexico? So it's a lot to debate, you could argue, for qualifying and where you really want to start this Grand Prix.
Here's PSR Nick. It looks like a solid lap time across the line. It's P6 for him. A fair bit off Sider at the moment, but McCabe Sam leaving the session. That's not going to do his chances of a pole position any good at all. Smokey then still, I think these guys are now coming out of the pits. They don't want to get caught in traffic, because that is the other thing. But with it being such a, I don't want to say such a short track, with it being a shorter track, if you're on a flying lap, you can get caught out. And that's the other thing these guys really have to worry about is, you know, they could be they could be the second fastest guy on this grid. And it doesn't matter if there is then, 2 or 3 cars going through that tricky the S section in Sector 2 and slowing you down.
Yeah, that would probably be the worst place to find another car in your way at the circuit. You're taking so much speed through that area, and obviously that's your lap written off as it looks like Savin. I think that's an AlphaTauri just getting out of the way nicely there. Sam Jones back into the session, but yeah, there's some really almost like pinch points, you can argue, Gareth, at the circuit where you definitely do not want to catch a car that's building up to their own lap. So hopefully everyone is respectful and gets out the way of each other here in Mexico with 2 minutes 40 left of the session. Everyone, I'm sure, will be coming out one more time here, Gareth, to get one final flying lap in at Mexico, but it's going to get pretty heated very shortly on the circuit.
Very, very shortly. A lot of drivers, and there goes M Racer way off the track at turn number 5 there. He's now not going to set a lap time on this time of asking, but he's still got a little bit of time. 2 minutes 14 for him to do something here at Mexico Tier 1 WOR. I'm in trying his best to get nice and tight to every apex of that lovely SE section in Sector 2. It's looking pretty good for him at the moment. Let's see how he continues through the stadium section. A little bit of pressure on him. He wants to continue to prove that he's good enough for Tier 1. I think he is. It's just a little bit of a few frustrating moments for him. But here he is across the line. It's up to P6 for him. That's a solid lap time. And I think it's going to be PSR Fern who's next across the line. Can he do anything from 14th on the grid? Across the line for the McLaren driver. It's up to P6.
Yeah, quickest in the middle sector, Gareth, for the McLaren driver, and showing that good pace, carrying through into the last sector and up into P6. Now, I think he's slowed down, though, as there's a few cars getting in, almost tripping over each other coming into the first couple of corners, but the McLaren gets out of the way there, as well as I think it was an Alfa Romeo also getting out of the way. But yeah, they've got to be careful not to coming together and slow each other down now with so little time left. Everybody minus 2 drivers are on circuit.
Yeah, this is tough. Scyther is going to finish his lap time, I think, and I don't think it is. No, he is just starting a lap time. It was a false alarm on that point of view. There is a gaggle of cars in Sector 3. I'm not really sure which one's about to finish a lap time. Is it going to be Lucas? Let's see what he can do around the final corner. The AlphaTauri driver for his first lap time. It's up into P17, a 15.8 for the time being. Is that WR Smokey that we see? No, it's not. It's his teammate, M Racer, who's coming towards the line. He's got a little bit of pressure on him. He's 0.2 of a second up on his lap time. He's going to be gutted if he can't get it into the top 10. But the Red Bull driver coming round the final corner now, across the line. And it's only to P12.
Yeah, just misses out there, Gareth. You can see how close everybody is in the 15.3s. Just, what's that, 5 or 6 drivers all almost in the same 10th there. So it shows how competitive this grid is at the moment.
Very, very close. And here comes Wilson around the final corner. He's got a little pressure on because Smokey is up to P3, but he's taken that P3 away from him. And that is a good place for him to start this race if that's going to happen. McCabe Sam has invalidated. He won't be going any quicker, and neither will Scyther. Qualifying is over and done with. There's still a few drivers on track. I think it could be PSR Connor who's actually going into the pits. Lucas is into a wall. I think that could very well be there, done and dusted, unless Axe can do anything. He's embroiled in a traffic jam in Sector 2. So there we have it. That is qualifying over and done with, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Like you mentioned, everyone else, all chock-a-block coming into that middle sector. And I think they're all, they're all miles off their times, Gareth. But yeah, what a qualifying session that was. As Nick goes up into second out of nowhere. Where did that come from?
Wow, we missed PSR Nick. We thought qualifying was over. PSR Nick said, "Hold my beer." Well, maybe not for a guy of his age, but he definitely wasn't prepared to throw in the towel. And what a lap time from him. Not enough to beat Scyther, but up there nonetheless. McCabe Sam in 3rd place. Some people say 3rd place is the best place to start here. So maybe it is a good thing he couldn't hook up a last lap properly. But PSR Wilson will line up alongside him as well. But a very, very interesting qualifying session. And we're getting to see Otis Lawrence start from the back of the grid. It would have been interesting to see what sort of lap time he would have done. But let's go down the order quickly. And it's Scyther on pole in the Williams trying to get himself up into P2 in the overall championship with PSR Nick alongside him. Great talent that he is. P3 is McCabe Sam with Wilson alongside him. On the 3rd row of the grid, we've got Smokey and Sav with Axe and Tudi in 7th and 8th respectively there. 9th is Placky Fern in 10th. And that is your top 10. Then it's Amin, Choco, M Racer, Leopard, Stonks, Finn, Lucas, Finn Bob, and Connor, who all were able to set a lap time. And then Otis Lawrence there. It's very, very odd to see the championship leader so far down. Now, for those of you who did watch last season's here at Mexico, my brain has worked now, and I do remember what happened. And I said that at a certain point in the track, when good old Tom Manley or Shadow was trying to get the championship wrapped up, I said the only thing he doesn't need now is a penalty, and he crossed the crossed over the white line and got himself a penalty. I wish I brought lottery tickets that weekend. But a great qualifying session. Mexico seems to be quite an interesting one to see how close drivers actually are.
Yeah, it's surprising how close that grid was. I think if you take out the top two, there was 3/10 splitting, third down to, I think it was like 15th or 16th, Gareth. So it's pretty close in Mexico, and that should provide some good racing. Difficult track to overtake at, obviously main overtaking opportunities of turn 1 and turn 4, but I'm sure these guys will give us quite a show, Gareth.
Definitely, and if you're an F1 esports driver, they're going to try and throw it down. And actually, they're going and getting ready straight away. There's no chance to chat. We are racing now, and it looks like it's a pretty poor start there from McCabe Sam in the background. He's really struggling for grip, and Wilson and Smokey siding him up. Both sides of them. This is going to be really tight as they come into turn 1. And somehow McCabe Sam is holding on to P3, but I think he's been clipped in the background by Wilson, and it's just unsettled the car. A majority of these drivers are on medium compounds, and Smokey's had to go off the track, and for the time being, that is not an ideal start for McCabe Sam. But Smokey up 2 places, Wilson around the outside at turn 4. You mentioned it being an overtaking opportunity, and at the moment he's being hounded out by Wilson and losing the place as well.
Yeah, 2D's round, Gareth, further back, is down 12 places where he started. So both the Aston Martins have a very poor start to this Mexican Grand Prix.
And already, believe it or not, Otis Lawrence is up to 13th place. Let's have a look at the tyres situation. Plackey and Stonks both on mediums, as well as Finn Bob. And that's a 3-second time penalty already for Plackey. His strategy is different to everyone else's. Up another position for Otis Lawrence, and I feel it should be. Maybe we should be going, oh, but look at that. I think PSR Sav and Plackey having a massive fight in the stadium section right there, and Sav holding out at the moment.
Yeah, just about, Gareth. They've all got their elbows out on this first lap, but Sav may lose a place back to the Mercedes coming down this pit straight. Obviously, no DRS enabled. There we go, the strategy on the bottom of the screen. But Sav, I think, should be able to hold this place for now coming into turn 1, but it's really heating up in on lap 1 and 2 here at Mexico.
Very, very close between the two of them. And it's McCabe Sam that looks like actually he could be holding this train up a little bit, which will be probably music to Otis Lawrence's ears, because he's 1.4 seconds away from the last car of this train at the moment. McCabe Sam really struggling a little bit at the moment. Maybe he just can't heat those hard compound tyres up enough at the moment. But WR Wilson and Smokey, they need to do something here, because Sider's leading the way and bringing Nick along with him, and they don't need that for the second place in the championship battle.
Yeah, of course. If Sider gets a run on and him and Nick run away with it, he might be, or Smokey and Wilson might be stuck in 3rd and 4th for the rest of the Grand Prix. But again, it's a long race, Gareth. Anything can happen. But they're just breaking that second wind in a 2nd to 3rd, so they can keep that going, especially with DRS enabled shortly. That's really crucial to this Grand Prix. But again, we're only beginning lap 3 of 36, so it's a long old Grand Prix as Nick is matching Sider at the front of the grid, and he wants this win as much as Sider.
Yeah, it's looking interesting up there, but here comes Plackey up the inside of PSR Sav, and Sav is actually, because of the... Is he going to go back at him into turn 1? If that is a very, very close move from Sav, that's a very, very astute bit of business, but it wasn't enough on that occasion. But all of a sudden, you've got Otis Lawrence at the back end of this queue, and I can understand that there might be some overtaking happening. Stocks is getting himself into a position to attack Sav as well around the outside of turn 4, and it looks like he's made the move stick on the Haas driver. That's a good little bit of driving from the Tier 2 championship leader at the moment, but Sav is holding in there at the moment, and Sav is not wanting to give up.
No, he's not, and they can't go side by side through here. Oh, I say that though, Gareth, they're going to try it, and they're off. Both the cars are off. The Haas is in the wall. I don't think there's damage to the car, but that's a huge mistake from both the drivers, and it's costing us a few cars up ahead that have gone off as well, it looks like.
I think...
Oh,
we're migrating host.
I was very concerned then, because the cars all over the place, and well, luckily it's a migrating host issue and not everyone spinning off at one point on the track. But yeah, very strange moment there.
Not 100% sure what's going on, so we've gone back to the camera screen. I'm just gonna. What? that that is something I'm not 100% sure I've ever seen before. So
No. No.
Wow, Codemasters, how have you? I mean, really, at the moment, what does it say on the front? Oh, it doesn't tell me what the grid was. That's really annoying, because I would have loved to have seen what the grid was at the end of that. We're gonna get the game back up and running. Really sorry about that, but we can't do anything about that game. But yeah, wow. But there was some the early laps, 3 laps. There was some good battling, and Stonks and Sav there, incredible action, and just went a little bit too far. And maybe that's what caused the desync.
Maybe. I'd be surprised side by side action causing it, but you could see there was a little bit of sort of netcode errors, or you could see that people were bouncing around a little bit. So unfortunately, maybe that's what caused it. But some great racing. Stonks, especially Gareth, he was up 8 places from where he started on the grid. Obviously, Otis Lawrence, we know how good he is, but Stonks showing his pace and showing his quality by obviously going up a tier and still being able to match these tier 1 guys, and it just puts him into a good place potentially going into the next season here in WOR. But yeah, some great racing all throughout the grid. But I think some guys will be quite happy with the restart, Gareth, with how that all went with some guys, especially the Aston Martins, having very poor starts here at Mexico.
I think McCabe Sam will be very happy to have a second bite of the cherry of this one. Definitely not having the best of starts down off the line, and that is highly unfortunate for the likes of PSR, Nick and Cider, who were comfortable at the front. You know, that I had a feeling that they might work together to pull themselves away from the rest of the grid, but we will never find out from that point of view. But it does mean we get another restart, another attempt ourselves, another bite of the cherry for ourselves to see how this one. And you know what, Mexico never fails to entertain, I don't think, and they've given us it's given us something a little bit different this time around. But something I didn't ask you, and obviously I can ask you now, is who do you think is going to win this race? Chat, get into it as well.
Yeah, no, we had barely any time at all to get going. I think someone readied up accidentally looking at the tier 1 chat, but I think for me it has to be Scyther. He was not head and shoulders above everybody else, but he was 2 or 3 tenths ahead, and then obviously Nick was quite close as well. But I think for me it's going to be Scyther, but Nick will push him all the way if it goes how I think it'll go, just going off the first attempt at the race. So, but I think this fact now, Gareth, Wilson and Smokey, sorry, getting to get the standings up. They know how quick the top 2 are now. They know what they can do at the start of these Grand Prix. So they've got to really nail that start and try and get ahead of them as quickly as possible to stop the running away with this race. So I think that'll be really key to watch on this restart once we get going again in a few minutes' time. But yeah, I think it'd be difficult not to pick Scyther with the pace he had on that start. But I don't think you can discount Otis Lawrence in all this as well, Gareth. You know, we saw, was it up 7 places in the start there?
Yeah, I think
it
was.
And that was 3 laps,
places.
so he still had 33 laps.
Yeah, I don't know. Otis Lawrence has some incredible pace. I think the guy is insane. So write him off at your peril. But for those of you who haven't seen and haven't watched, I do urge you to re-watch the not Imola, the Monza Italian Grand Prix here, because that was, you know, one of the only times you see Otis Lawrence possibly make a mistake. It was interchangeable conditions, and Scyther was the guy that beat him to the bullet. Definitely worth a rewatch there. The guy, the lobby is being reset up, so it shouldn't take too long for us to get back underway here at WOR. And an incredible season, no doubt, throughout. And I will just cast your mind. I know we're the Tier 1 stream, but we will talk about the Tier 2 stream, the Tier 2 racing, because it's incredibly close there. 27 points separates the top 5, and that top 5 is FRA Stocks, who's here tonight. We've got PSR Levy, Quantum, CRT Quantum, Bobberts, Adam Dude. They're all within 27 points of each other. However, Bobberts and Adam Dude have yet to have a race victory. So the grid is getting itself sorted. We will be underway very, very shortly. Thank you for sticking through with us while we experience some technical problems. And for once, Ollie, in a stream for you and I, in a commentary stream for you and I, it's not our fault.
No, usually it is our fault in some way, shape or form, but this time around it's luckily it's not. Unfortunately we do sometimes get these technical errors or issues, and we'll get going back hopefully very shortly, and we can get back into the action here at the Mexico Grand Prix. If that was a taster session, Gareth, I can't wait for the full race session, because it's going to be an extremely entertaining Grand Prix, hopefully for us in the comms box and everybody else who's watching as well.
Definitely. I'm not sure why my camera just went really blurry there either, so I do apologise for that. I have hopefully fixed it for now, but just thinking on for what you've seen so far in Tier 1, the guys are insanely quick. But have you seen a weakness from Otis? I don't want to say weakness from Otis not starting, but like not doing qualifying. But do you think, okay, he's won the championship, but do you think maybe, I don't want to say naivety, but do you think he should have just continued to push on?
Yes and no. I think it would have been good for, you could argue it good for confidence for starting at the front or the back. Starting at the back, it shows that he's able to overtake quite a few drivers, not just I'm quick and I can lead from the start to finish at the front. But also, if you said at the front, you could show how quick he was compared to the rest of the drivers. So it's a mixed bag. But I think either way, Gareth, it would have given him confidence with final few races of the season, and go into next season. Whether he stays in Xbox, maybe he goes to PC, maybe, but. I think regardless of he starts at the front or the back, he'll have plenty of confidence going into the second part of the race now.
So we will. It shouldn't take too much longer for the grid to get sorted. It's 36 laps of this Mexican Grand Prix, which we will be getting underway very, very shortly here at WOR, and it's going to be a great race no matter what. Because Mexico usually has some sort of spice to add to it, and it's something that we're very much keen to. And you may have noticed that it isn't Ryan Jacobs alongside me today. It's Ryan Jacobs 5.0. It's Ollie in the comms box for this Tier 1 race, and the countdown has started a short period of time ago. So it won't be long until we are back on track here and ready for racing action. And you know what? I've got a feeling. I don't know why. I've got a feeling that we're in for a surprise. I don't want to say an Otis win, but I also don't want to say anyone in the top 5 is going to win this race. I feel like this one's going to be something very, very out of the ordinary.
I don't know if we got a prediction off you, Gareth, for the race winners. You not do predictions here in Tier 1.
We do. I usually just ask my co-commentator to do it for me. I try not to. I try not to jinx anyone because I get hate mail. But you know what? I wanna say it's something. I wanna say it's a special race, and maybe we get to see someone, maybe the likes of Choco, a very rare, powerful performance from him. Or maybe LCR Leopard. I would love to see Leopard take another. I would love to be the commentator to see Leopard take another victory in WR Tier 1. But very, very close for us to get going again and letting the guys. They've got to pick their strategies and make sure they pick the same setups than they were before. We're expecting 4 drivers, I think, on medium compound of tyres. They're going to be very, very racy at the start again. Placky and. It was Stonks. There were 2 of them, very racy off the start, and are we going to see them be more racy than they were before because of the knowledge of how much slower the mediums to the hards were?
Yeah, I think so. And not only that, Gareth, I think the guys have gone, well, Nix did this, Wilson did that. Okay, maybe I'll try this time, or maybe I'll change my rev limit to when I start the race. I think there's almost, this is literally a second chance at the race. So they can learn of the mistakes they made in the first attempt at this race and improve on that. So I think a few drivers will have some cracking starts, but also some will lose even more. But I think that medium hard tyre difference will be quite crucial here, especially with the cold tyres, no formation lap at all here in WR. But the countdown has started. But I think those on medium tyres will have to put their foot down and try and work their way through the grid as best as possible to utilise the tyres the best they can here in Mexico.
Well, we have 11 seconds until lights out here. Well, until lights start turning on. And it isn't long at all. So let's head over to the main screen and hope for the best on this one. And let's hope that there's no desync this time of asking. But here we are. 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, 4 light, 5 lights. Tier 1 of WR Mexico. Is go. Is it going to be a better start this time around for McCabe Sam? I think it is, but maybe not as good as he would have hoped. He's straight behind Nick this time round. He's not being hounded by Wilson or Smokey. There's a lot of action down below the grid as well. There's just a huge gaggle of cars as they come into turn 1. There's a Ferrari. Is that Stocks going massively up the inside? And there's Otis Lawrence, or is that Placky? Sorry, Placky has been spun. Wilson attacking McCabe Sam this time. McCabe Sam is finally dropped a position. Much better start than last time around, but Sav is attacking Smokey as they go into turn 4.
Yeah, he is, and he's right. Oh, that's an Aston Martin run. I think that's Sam Gareth coming through turn 4 and 5, and he's dropped all the way down to 11th, now down 8 places. But again, Stonks and Otis Lawrence both having incredible starts here. Stonks up 7 places, and Otis up 5. So both drivers having yet again great starts here in Mexico.
And Choco getting past Amin. Amin is really struggling through the S section. And if you go from his point of view, or McCabe Sam's point of view, they were side by side momentarily. This is incredible driving from some of these drivers. And look at this, Otis Lawrence. Is it? No, oh, sorry. Otis Lawrence is still battling away with Lucas. I'm trying to get on board with that one. M Racer just ahead. But Lucas holding station for the time being. Sider's the fastest man on track, but looking at it from Otis Lawrence's point of view, this is going to be a quick and easy move by the looks of things. Already up to the back end of Lucas, and he's already passed him. Stonks getting past 2D for P5 as P7 as well. And unfortunate for McCabe Sam, he did get tagged, and he's down all the way in P11. Only Stonks was the one that decided to stick to the mediums this time.
Yeah, another chance to look at the tyres just yet, Gav. Like I say, Stonks the only one doing so for one reason or other, but he's obviously quickest in that first sector, the Ferrari man, and like we mentioned earlier, Gav, he needs to utilise those tyres as best he can in these early stages, and he's definitely doing that with the overtaking mastery, you could say, on the opening lap, up multiple places, the Ferrari man, and showing his true pace here and why he's leading Tier 2 here in WR.
Doing incredible at the moment, but Axe into P6. He's got a difficult customer to overtake just ahead. Otis Lawrence all over the back of M Racer in the background, but at the moment he is only P14 for the time being. But we will stay on board with actually, let's go on board with Otis Lawrence, because I feel he's going to do something out of the final corner to dispatch of this Red Bull Cyber fastest man again. But he hasn't lost Nick or Wilson or Sav or Smokey for that matter this time around. Let's look at it from Otis Lawrence's point of view as they come down the start-finish straight. No DRS just yet. It will be enabled later on in the lap, and it looks like actually M Racer could make a move on Finn as they head into turn 1, but nothing's happening on this time of asking.
Yeah, a bit of a train forming there, Gareth, with a few of these drivers now. They're all in a queue behind. Sav is at the head of the train. It's only tenths that splitting these guys. I mean, Sav's lost a second now to Wilson, which will be quite crucial getting onto the pit straight on the beginning of lap number 4. So hopefully can close that gap down coming to the last 2 sectors of this lap. But yeah, like you mentioned, Otis not close to this one, but this one around, but very close to the back of M Racer coming through turn 6 towards 7 now, and it's not like, oh, and that's M Racer making a huge error there, huge tank stopper, Gareth. He's in the wall at turn number 8. Don't think he's got damage to that Red Bull, but a hand in mouth moment there for Otis, almost clacking the back of the car. But that is him all the way down to 20th place now, Gareth, unfortunately for M Racer, but I can't tell if he's got damage or not on that Red Bull.
That is just a bit too much power moment, isn't it? And it's just cost him majorly, and that's such a shame for M Racer staying on board with Otis Lawrence, because it always looks like he's going to try something, but he's a little bit too far for Finn this time around. So let's look a little bit closer on and see, because Nick is sniffing the back end of the diffuser of Scyther ahead, and he's going to try and surely make a move into turn 4. That is a very good overtaking opportunity here. Is he going to get close enough? I don't think he is. He's not using any ERS. He's just happy to stay behind the Williams for the time being. And, well, it's good for Scyther because he's got a buffer between him and Wilson. And that's the driver he's really got to be careful of, not allow him overtaking.
Yeah, exactly. I think Nick is playing the perfect role here as being that middleman. Sorry, it sounded like something happened there, Gareth.
Nope.
Oh, sorry. I thought you shouted quickly saying something had happened on the circuit. My mistake. But yeah, like you said, Nick's in that perfect opportunity here, just sitting in between first and third. And interestingly, Gareth, the top two have not broken away like they did last time. So Wilson obviously finding something that he didn't have in the first race, but Nick looking ever so racy behind our race leader here, and he could try move coming into turn 1. He's closer this time around as well, coming around the final corner.
Yeah, let's keep an eye on Nick. Again, I don't think he's not using ERS, and it's a simple move into turn 1, and I think that's very much a case of Scyther realising it's best not to fight too much. And in the background, we've got Otis and Finn fighting away as they enter through turns 1, 2 and 3. Otis is all over the back end of the Alfa Romeo, and he's just dispatched of him so nicely at the exit of 5, and what an easy move in the end for him, and he's covered off the inside line, and no Freddie Rasmussen moves from VSR Finn there.
No, I think that's a good idea, Gareth, coming through turn 4 and 5 there. But Otis dispatching another car here, and he's now got Sam up ahead, the next man on his hit list. But again, showing why he's the champion. But further ahead, Choco makes a huge mistake coming through the S's, and that's allowed Amni through, coming through turn, I think it was 9 and 10, and unfortunately Aston Martin can't get through as well. But Finn Bob, the first man down in 19th with a penalty here for corner cutting at Mexico. But Choco, that mistake's cost him quite a bit of time as well to the car ahead. But Sam and Otis will definitely try and capitalise on this now, coming on to the pit straight for the 6th time.
Well, we say Sam and Otis. Otis is already sizing up the Aston Martin. He's alongside him down the start-finish straight. They're side by side. Sam is going to battle it as much as he can, but I think it's a little bit futile, really, because Otis has the move done. He's up into P11, and Otis is showing exactly why he is Tier 1 champion at the moment. He's just carving through the field. Nick and Scyther swapping positions at the front again, with Wilson just waiting to see if there is any... meat off the bones that he can get from that battle ahead. Sav managing to get back into the DRS, but he is agonisingly close for being dropped.
Yeah, exactly. He's got to be careful because Smokey's right on his tail as well, coming through the middle sector here. And any mistake that Sav makes, Smokey will lap it all up. So really crucial he nails this part of the circuit to try and close that gap down to Wilson. He's got DRS guys, so that should be enough to keep Smokey behind him. But if he does drop out, Smokey will be all over him like a rash any time now. So, but they're all still pretty close coming through this last couple of corners into the stadium section. But again, it's just getting closer and closer, Gareth. And I don't know who's going to come out on top in this battle for the final podium position at the moment.
Well, I think it's all about the Otis Lawrence show at the moment. He's closing in on Choco again, but the Choco might have the straight line speed to stay ahead and actually attack Amin ahead. And the Alfa Romeo driver is in trouble. Here comes Choco up the inside. He's got to be careful. No contact. And I think that could give Otis Lawrence, a very good opportunity around the outside. What an overtake from Otis Lawrence, just picking off the bones of all sort of incidents, and that's a great move. Amin has no answer to him, and McCabe Sam actually getting past the Alfa Romeo as well.
Amin's had a horrible first sector there, Gareth. Obviously been pushed wide slightly by Choco, and that's causing it just opened a door to hell, and everyone flew straight through there. Sam Lawrence and obviously Choco getting through, and it just got sort of placed offline, and we know how important being online at the circuit and how much momentum is key at this circuit. And unfortunately for him, though, he's still got Finn, his teammate, directly behind him, and so the pain will not end anytime soon. So hopefully he can get back in the groove of things, Gareth, and follow Otis hopefully through and try and get back at Sam and Choco on the next couple of laps.
Yeah, let's see how it happens, but staying on board with Otis Lawrence, because I think he's going to dispatch Choco this time around. Choco has no DRS to help him as they go down the start-finish straight. Otis is closing. He moves to the inside of the start-finish straight, and there you go. Done, surely, and dusted. Choco has some straight line speed, but not enough. Amin and Finn fighting away in the background as well, and Choco's just got to keep to the back end of that car. It's a bit easier said than done, but look at the two Alfa Romeos in the background fighting away. VSR Finn and Amin have a little bit of contact between the two of them, and it's cost Amin a little bit more, and he's going to be caught out by Leopard in the background. Choco getting passed by Sam as well, but this is a great camera angle from Finn, as I think Leopard is going to get past Amin as they come through 4, 5 and 6, and I think maybe even Fern is trying to get in on this action.
Yeah, side by side though, Gareth, going into turn 7, 2 do not go into 1, and luckily Fern decides to pull out last minute and keeps his car on the circuit. But great move by Leopard around the outside of turn 4. It's difficult to go around the outside of that corner, but finds a grip and makes his way through past the Alfa Romeo, now down to 14th place. Now it's unfortunately not a respite at all for Amin here, because Fern and Placky are there, as well as Connor, all dueling away, trying to get back towards the points here in Mexico. But a great move there by Leopard, I have to say.
Otis Lawrence, surprise, fastest man on the track. He's got a little bit of clear air for once, and he's just blasted it out. Into turn 1 he comes, looking at on point of view from him. He's got an Aston Martin ahead and an Aston Martin behind, but at the moment it looks like he's going to get a Tootie up into turn 4. But Tudor's using a bit of ERS, I think, just to keep ahead for the time being. And this could slow Otis through the Sector 2, which could halt his progress slightly.
Yeah, exactly. And especially with Stonks ahead, who's still pretty quick on those medium tyres. And he's caught him annoyingly at the wrong time on the circuit. You know, this is one of the quickest parts of the circuit, Gareth, when it comes to corners here in Mexico. And Otis has been slowed here by Tootie, coming through turn 7 down to 11, and in fairness to the Aston Martin, still running pretty quick down in 8th place, and he will be a sitting duck though, Gareth, coming onto the pit straight, because well, he won't have any DRS, and unfortunately for him, a 3-second time penalty to add to his worries. We've got yellow flag in the last sector as well. I think that's Finn who's made a mistake coming into the stadium section.
Well, I'm pretty certain it was a mistake, but from Finn and his teammate Amin. Contact between the two of them in turn 12, and that's cost them massively. Otis does get past Tootie, but look at this free wide as they come down the start-finish straight. Placky's trying to get in on the action with Finn, and even Connor trying to get past Finn there as well, and this is crazy stuff. But Amin is going to be really fuming with his teammate for that one, because there was contact, and that is number one pet hate for loads of team owners in real F1, his teammates hitting each other, and that's exactly what we've just seen. Let's go on board a little bit higher up and actually have a look at this battle for the lead, because Otis Lawrence is 3.3 seconds behind FRA Stonks in P7 there.
Yeah, Sav get the time penalty up in P4, but it'd be interesting to see the gap now. It's 3 seconds between 7th and 8th. Obviously, Stonk's still on those medium tyres, and they're still feeling pretty fresh, I'm sure, compared to those harder tyres. But whether Otis can still close that gap down to a pretty quick driver, obviously, on those medium tyres, more yellow flag, and Amin is having even more trouble, Gareth, down in 20th place, unfortunately. But Stonks on the back of this lead train here, top 7 in their own little world at the moment. But it looks like it's Nick going to finally take the lead back off the Williams drivers. Say they're coming into turn number 1, but I'm sure they'll swap that once again in this Grand Prix coming on to the next straight.
Wilson has a big lock up into turn 1, nearly collects Cider, and it's put off Sav, and Wilson, Smokey now is attacking Sav as they come into turn 4. It's side-by-side action. Smokey desperate to try and keep this position. He hops the curb, but I don't think the traction's there because of it, and Sav somehow holds on to P4, but there is a penalty to Sav we've got to remember as well, and that is M Racer around at turn number 3. The Red Bull driver having a race to forget, unfortunately for him. But there's all sorts of action coming in now. They've just realised Otis Lawrence has been set free in P8 and he's catching them at a rate of knots. And these guys really need to start working. Well, that's 7 drivers I'm talking about need to work together to stay ahead of Otis Lawrence.
Yeah, the problem is, Gareth, there's 7 drivers and minus the Williams, they're all in different teams. So, and also they're all fighting for their own individual battles. You know, we've still got the fight for P2 all in the championship still to go. So I don't think they'll be working together anytime soon. But who's going to come out on top here? I think Nick, after the mistakes from Cider on the previous lap, is out in the lead on his own. But I don't think anyone's going to make any moves through coming into turn 1 here. They're all, after all that battling on the previous lap, they've spaced out ever so slightly. So they'll stay in formation coming through here. But it looks like Stonks is the closest one to act in 6th and 7th here. But both make a little bit of a weave and a bit of a mistake coming out of turn number 3. So I think they'll all stay in formation coming into turn number 4 here.
I wonder if there's going to be any team orders at Aston Martin. Tudi holding up McCabe Sam or not. McCabe Sam gets the move done into turn 4, and that releases McCabe Sam to try and save his race because he's had a pretty poor one. Unfortunate for him, it's caught in a little bit of an incident and it's dropped him down to P9 currently. PSL Wilson then, let's keep on board with him to see what he can do. In the battle for Cider, he needs to stay ahead of Cider. I think for Wilson, his aim has got to be just stay ahead of Cyber, but Finn has lost it at turn 8, and I wonder if that's damage to the AlphaTauri driver there.
Yeah, it could well be obviously down to 18th place now. Can't see from this angle, but we do have a safety car that's appeared and no front wing on the Alfa Romeo, and safety car has come out on this lap as the few cars have jumped ahead of him actually. So I'm not sure how this is all going to work out in a few seconds time, but a load of pit stops for a few of the drivers here, Gareth, and I think this has actually worked in Stonks' favour quite well.
I was just about to say, could we see a WR Tier 2 driver take victory in Tier 1? Time will definitely tell, but Otis Lawrence has swapped for the mediums as well. All these cars will go past the safety car, as Nick, Cider, Wilson, Smokey have done as well. But Cider and Axe, they've got to play this game carefully because they're going to double stack at this rate. Axe has to stay behind a little bit. He has to drop his pace if he doesn't want to cause any major problems. But everyone else, including Sav has made an incredible last-minute call there, but that is huge. Smokey with a drive-through penalty.
That is really crucial for this race and for the P2 in the standings, Gareth. You know, that's huge, especially obviously he has to serve it within, I'm right thinking, 3 laps after the safety car. So that's him at the back of the grid, Gareth. Yeah, there's no 2 ways about that.
Well, everyone else now jumping into the pits. Axe, let's see if he does get any sort of hold up in the Williams box. There is his teammate Cider into his pit box. The McLaren gets past. Where is Cider? To Cyber. Actually, there is a hold up, and I think Cyber's being, he is behind the McLaren driver there. Where is Sav in all this as he comes down the start-finish straight? How many places, if any, is he going to lose? He's behind Smokey, so that didn't work out well for him in the end. Stonks is behind Axe, and that is not ideal. But a lot of these drivers would not have wanted this because they had a lead over Otis, and now Otis is right back up against them.
Yeah, it's like he started that in that place at the start of the Grand Prix, Gareth. He's flown through the grid in the opening, well, almost halfway through this race, and he's flown through. And now, unfortunately for the top 7, he's right on their gearboxes coming into once the safety car goes in here in Mexico City. But yeah, he's had a phenomenal start to the race, and unsurprisingly, Gareth, he's been mega quick. The only problem for these drivers now, though, Gareth, they've got to do a lot of laps on those medium tyres. Obviously, they'll get to the end, and they won't be very pleasant. I think Stonks will lose a little bit of time at the start. Obviously, he's on the hard tyres. Well, pretty much everybody is on the medium tyre. But he'll come back near the end of the race, as those hard tyres will go a lot further than the medium tyres.
Yeah, very, very interesting strategy. Maybe these guys are counting on another safety car, because that is possible. You could see another safety car here, which is going to be an interesting thought. And I mean, it has saved the likes for Amin, who had a terrible start. Actually, I don't think he's in the lobby, so that could be problematic for him. But some of these cars, the drivers, Finn, M Racer, Amin, if we can get him back in, who've had a bad race, they can get themselves back into the swing of things. Leopard's got himself into P10 with all this. Here comes Choco back into the pits. I wonder if he's throwing on a set back onto the set of hards, because that would be a very interesting strategy if he does. But we will wait and see for that one. And Finn is coming into the pits as well. Choco is going onto a set of hards.
Yeah, I think we've seen that in the past, Gareth. People jump on one set and jump back onto another, just to make sure that they've done that strategy. Obviously, Choco does not feel those mediums will get to the end, or won't feel good near the end of the stint. But Finn's out on another set of softs. I think that's a mistake from Finn. I don't think that was his intention, because he's going to have to pit once again, unless he thinks that there's another safety car inbound in this Grand Prix.
Well, we have seen from Finn before like to do this sort of strategy. I think it might have been Monza as well, where he's just carved his way through the field. He's got some great pace about him, has Finn. Just a little bit of unfortunate surrounding him, which has cost him. Silverstone was one of his highlights. I think it was one of his best races I've ever seen him in as well. But the safety car, I don't think is coming in this lap. But I could be wrong. But we usually get something around about now. If it is, there is no message to say. So Finn could go back into the pits and go on to another set of tyres. Maybe he just wants a couple of extra tyres used.
Yeah, as Amin is making another mistake. He's put himself in the wall there. And the safety car will be in, Gareth, and it's been called extremely late.
This probably hasn't helped Nick at all, set and ready, because when does he go? He has to go late. He's gone now across the line. I don't think he's caught anyone out by that, but other than Wilson, because Wilson's in a hell load of trouble right now. Smokey is all over him. Sav's all over him. It's going to be 3 wide as they head into turn 1, and surely this could cause major problems. Smokey up the inside. He's got that drive-through penalty, do not forget, but he's got the move done, and that's ideal for him.
Yeah, great move from him, and yeah, there's been caught out napping on the restart there. Nick had no option but to go late, and a few drivers have been caught out there. Lawrence gets past Stonks as well on the restart, and it's all kicked off further down. Those medium runners really getting the hammer down here on the restart, but like you mentioned, Wilson being caught out there, and crucially for the championship as well, Gareth.
Yeah, there is obviously, don't forget that drive-through penalty to Smokey. I wonder when he will take it, because there might be a little bit of a gap. But Nick has left Sider a little bit. He's using a bit more ERS. He's pushing that little bit further. He wants to break it. He's got incredible pace as this kid, and he's showing it right now. Otis Lawrence all over the back of this man, Axe F1. And there is a further yellow cards, and that is Amin's car again off the track. And who is that off the track there? And Otis Lawrence up the inside of turn 17. He's not taking any prisoners. He's passed, and that was a mistake from Sav, which unsettled Axe, and that's Otis Lawrence up into P6.
Great move there, but unfortunately for Otis, he's got the Williams and the Ferrari still hot on his heels. They're almost glued to each other. There was a little bit of tagging. That's an end plate of one of the cars off there. Is that off the Williams maybe, or maybe even the Ferrari. I'm not sure. It is the Ferrari who's lost the front right end plate. Stonks, unfortunately, they had nowhere to go, Gareth. They almost stuck together coming into turn 1 braking zone, and that is the Ferrari with damage, and that might be his race over with. It's so, especially coming through the S's on this lap, Gareth, he's going to be in a world of pain.
Yeah, he just maybe Axe broke that extra couple of centimetres early, which caused the contact between him and Stonks, and that is such an unfortunate thing for the Ferrari as he's dropping down the field massively right now. But Otis Lawrence is all over the back of Sav now, and Smokey, I'm sure, has to pit this time because Smokey's dispatched Sider.
Yeah, I believe it's this lap, and he will. Yeah, you are right, Gareth. Pulls in to the pit lane, and that will drop him back to 19th. I think Amin's having more trouble in the Alfa Romeo, but yeah, drive through for the Red Bull driver, and also Stonks in the pit, unsurprisingly, Gareth, for a front wing change.
Otis desperate to get past Sav. Where does Sav go? He's gone to the inside of turn 1, but Otis Lawrence has sent that dummy, and he's in front of the Haas car, and Sav is, well, unable to answer the call, but he is trying to get back up the outside into turn 4 maybe at this point of view. Sav desperate for something. Otis hanging him out to dry a little bit, but Sav keeping his car in there, but I think Otis has got the drive. Maybe not. They're going to be side by side as they go through turn 6 here. Otis being left to hang out to dry from Sav, and what defensive masterclass in the end from Sav, because he stayed ahead of the Mercedes driver.
Great defensive work from Sav there. Just told Otis, no, you're not getting through this time around, mate. And he just hangs him out to dry, coming through turn 6, as did Otis do to himself through turn 4. So great defensive work from Sav, and he's made a mistake coming through there, but hopefully that's not disturbed the car too much, and hopefully he's not worn his tyres out too much with all the battling between them both. But he may have missed a DRS zone, and with all the fighting between himself and Otis, Gareth, and he might be in a world of trouble here with Otis directly on his gearbox once again as they start lap 19.
Yeah, this could be problems for Sav this time round, and I think it's a relatively easier move this time, and Otis has been set free once again. Otis Lawrence up to P4. Are we going to see that magical last to first challenge here at WOR Tier 1? Time will tell. Sav doesn't have DRS to play with to help him attack Otis Lawrence this time round, and Otis Lawrence has a little bit of work to do if he wants to catch up with Wilson and Cyber ahead, but he's in a much better position than he was at lap 1.
Well, yeah, I mean, the last to first challenge is getting closer and closer to being successful here. Mexico Gareth, he dispatched the field. Obviously the safety car helped as well, sort of reset the grid, brought it all back together, because I think it was about 3 seconds he had to stonk at the time before the safety car, but lap 19 of 36, still plenty more laps to go, but that just gives more time for Otis to get through, really. But again, anything can happen. We know how racing goes sometimes, Gareth, and this race hasn't, the last page of the book has not been written just yet.
Definitely not. There's still more spice in the cupboard to get this one all hot and sweaty, because Otis Lawrence is the fastest man on the track. He is really pushing it. He's 0.8 of a second behind Wilson, and he is smashing it at the moment. Wilson, Sider and Nick have a lot of problems, but you have to feel for two drivers, that's Smokey and Stonks, who have had their race unfortunately taken away from them. Oh no, it's another safety car.
I think the other the Alfa Romeo has caused that. Amin just really struggling with his Alfa, no front wing on that car, and he's caused the second safety car here just being off a little bit too long, and that's caused a second safety car with all this. And I mean, what's that? That will be 17 laps, racing laps here. Oh, I don't know what they do here now, Gareth.
I'm stumped. It's the best way to describe it. I am stumped at what they do right now. PSR, Wilson, Sider, Nick, Otis Lawrence and Sav have a lot of thinking to do before they get to the pit lane. Do they pit? Do they do something different? Do they throw on a fresh set of mediums to make sure they are happy to the end of the race? Couple of dodgy looking areas. They're trying to put off people, but it hasn't happened. McCabe Sam has had a little bit of a decent return. He's up to P7 at the moment, but he has got the experienced LCR Leopard right behind. But both Aston Martins are in there. And fair play to everyone else, as there's a penalty for Choco for a severe collision with Connor. It's all happening at the moment.
Yeah, both the Alpha Tauris getting stuck together in the pit lane as well, but they're all going to a set of fresh mediums, it looks like. So obviously those softs can't get to the end here at Mexico, but Lucas was first in the pit lane. But this has helped Smokey out quite significantly, Gareth. Obviously was down and last with his drive through, but now up to P11. So points still on the board, and I mean, can you discount him for a podium? Maybe that might be too much of an ask, but it's been a pretty crazy race so far, guys, and anything can happen. As we already know, in these races, and he could work his way back up through the grid and fight back with Wilson and Scather for the potential P2 in the championship.
Well, something that I wasn't expecting was this much action. I was expecting action, but not this much. It's incredible so far. And you know what? You're right. Smokey has had a little bit of a lifeline there. But also, have the guys outside of the top 11 made a really, really solid decision, because everyone else's tyres are going to be very, very tired at the end of the race. Finn, Lucas, M-Racer, Fern, Connor, and Finn Bob. And you could even say Stonks is involved in this as well. Choco on those worn hards might be a bit problematic for them, but they're fresh. They're going to be hammer and tong till the end of the race.
Yeah, they'll be non-stop, like you mentioned. Fresh medium tyres, working their way through the grid, especially the last couple of laps. Those mediums will really start to fall off the cliff, and that will be a great chance for those guys on the medium tyres to get their elbows out. Sorry, with the fresher medium tyres, to get their elbows out and try and work their way through the rest of the guys. You know, if they can, stick their nose up in areas that you wouldn't normally, just to gain a few places. You know, Lucas and Finn, especially Finn, who we've seen how racy he's been in the early stages of the race. It's a great opportunity for those guys to get points in this race, especially right near the death of this race. But again, we could have another safety car. I don't want to try and jinx it, Gareth, but we could have another safety car. We could have a VSC. Throw in that into the mix as well. So, anything can happen. But I think we'll have one more lap of safety car action here in this stint anyway, with how far back Choco and Amin are on the grid. But Gareth, it's been a fantastic introduction to Tier 1 so far. I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
This is what you've been missing, my friend. But yeah, here we go. So whether we're going to get a late safety car call in as well, that was something else we weren't expecting last time. We will keep an eye on that one. But I mean, right now, would you count Otis Lawrence out taking the victory here? I know you backed Sider initially, but Otis up into fourth.
Yeah, I don't think you can ever discount him, Gareth. We've seen how he's just cut through the grid. You know, he's dispatched of every challenge. I think it was Sav who gave him the biggest challenge just before the safety car, hang him out to dry a few times, and great defensive job from Sav, but unfortunately could not keep the champion behind him. I don't think you can discount Otis to win this Grand Prix. We've seen how quick he is. His tire's one lap older than the guys ahead, but I don't think that's going to matter too much in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, I definitely think Otis has got he could have the win, Gareth. He's still got to get past 3 drivers, and they're no pushovers either. So we'll see how this all unfolds. With what will that be? 12 racing laps left of this Grand Prix once the safety car comes in. 13. Sorry. So yeah, I think it's still on the cards for him, definitely. I'm sure some of the guys in the chat are saying I'm completely wrong, and he definitely will win, but we'll have to wait and see.
Now, at the present moment in time, Scyther will want a car between him and Wilson, because Scyther will only have 3 points gained on Wilson, and that is not going to be enough to see him overhaul the Alpine driver. And he's desperate. He's going to be desperate to get higher up than what he currently is. Scyther will want a win. He's got an early safety car notice, so we know what's going to happen. Nick has time to prepare. I mean, do you think he might go late like he had to last time?
I think he'll go early, Gareth. At one point before he went, it was up to 7/10, but he slowed back down again before going. So I think Nick will go early this time. Try and get a great traction coming out the final corner and bridge that gap to the side and the rest of the gang behind him.
Let's keep a close eye on this. Let's look at it from a Wilson point of view. And Nick has gone, but where is Otis in all this? He's not had the best of it. It's a little bit of a wiggle, and he has still got a great exit of turn the final corner, and Otis is going to have a look at Wilson, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Nick has had a good start. Down to turn 1 they go. Otis has gone up the inside of Wilson and claimed the final podium position at the moment. Otis is on fire, and everyone else's defence is terrified.
Yeah, and he might even get Scyther here. He makes a mistake coming out of turn 4, but he's pushed onto the grass. Oh, they're both on the grass, onto the brakes, and just about misses the back of the McLaren there. I thought it was all going to end in tears after the contact coming to the exit of, the entry of 4, Gareth. Scyther really pushed the Mercedes out wide, and I thought that we're going to have a moment of madness there and a few cars out, but luckily they're all still pointing in a straight line. But God, a hand-in-mouth moment there, Gareth.
Turn 4, controversy. Never seen it in my life. Otis desperate to make a move on Scyther. It wasn't happening. Sav's getting involved as well. This is incredible racing. Stonks, Jocko, plenty of drivers now getting penalties. That's something we've got to keep an eye on later on the race as well. Sav desperate to try see something. Axe into P6, getting close to the back end. Smokey into the points. He's dispatched of Tudi. But Otis dropping away a little bit from Scyther at the moment. Let's see what he can do as he comes down the start-finish straight. But this has all worked into PSR Nick's favour. He's 1.6 seconds in the lead at the moment. But here comes Otis Lawrence down into turn 1. Is he going to make the move this time round? It looks like it's done and dusted for the Mercedes driver. And the first to last challenge is definitely well and truly on for him.
Yes, it is. And that was all without DRS, Gareth, in all that action. So, you know, with that, unfortunately, though, he's got 1.7 seconds. And Nick is, with all that fighting, he's managed to break this little gap here with just over 11 laps left of this race. And we'll see whether Nick can hold off Otis. He's got a good gap. And if he can stay out that, with once the DRS kicks in, you know, Nick could have this. But again, there's still plenty of racing laps left of this session. Choco, unfortunately, has retired on the previous lap, guys. So down to 19 drivers left of the session. But can Otis close this gap? Can he achieve the first to last challenge? Or can Nick hold the lead and get his win here in Mexico?
This is going to be absolutely incredible stuff right now. To see whether Scyther can attack back at Otis and whether Otis can claim anything back to Nick. DRS is enabled. We're not going to see any of it on these cars until next lap. This is possibly the hardest test Otis Lawrence has had to face this season. He's got an incredibly quick Nick in front of him. He's got an incredibly quick Scyther behind him, and he's got a lot of work to do. Amin's car, I don't know if he's in control of it because it is going so slowly.
Yeah, and the car keeps on making mistakes exactly the same places, so I'm not really sure what's going on with that car, Gareth, but it feels like it's going to cause one more safety car and all to add a final sting to the tail of this Grand Prix.
And that's probably the one thing PSR Nick does not want. But he's holding station to Otis Lawrence right now. It's 1.7 seconds. 5/10 away from Otis is Scyther. 7/10 further back is Wilson. Sav's in there as well. McCabe Sam is up to P7. Let's not forget about Axe, who's in 6th. The action has been incredible, but Lucas is up to P10. Yes, he's got that penalty over his head, but he's got some really fresh rubber on his tyres.
Yeah, exactly. I was just keeping an eye on him. He's gained, I think, 2 or 3 places since the restart here. Definitely want to watch at the end of this Grand Prix. But Otis eking that gap out little by little here. Now it's up to 8/10 Now, obviously, Scyther will have DRS, but I don't think it's going to really benefit him. But the Sky, the second, needs to get back past Otis. Like you mentioned earlier, Gareth, with regard to the championship, he needs more cars between himself and Wilson to really challenge going into the final 2 races of the season.
Especially with Sav and Axe there as well, it's costing major problems. And don't want to keep on going on. I didn't want to go on board with him, but yeah, the car is Amin's car is really in a weird way right now. Otis Lawrence has a lot of work to do to get back at Nick, because he's not catching him as quickly as he caught everyone else on the track.
No, I mean it's sort of it's staying at that sort of 1.6, 1.7. So Nick is doing a phenomenal job holding him off. You've got more yellow flags. I think that's Fern who's made a mistake down in 18th. Yes, it is coming out of turn 6, but Nick is doing a fantastic job, and Otis isn't gaining on our race leader. If anything, it's Scyther who's closing the gap down to second place, and maybe Otis is looking behind him more than he's looking forward, and that's maybe affecting him slightly.
Yeah, Otis is he's got a lot of top quality drivers around him to keep him busy at the moment. Axe dropping off slowly away from PSR Sav. That's not going to be what he wants at all. Connor gets past Finn Bob. But Lucas still holding station at the back of this train from Axe. And he could pick up, if he plays this right, these guys they're gonna be on very worn tyres at their end, and he could get some really good points here, Lucas, and that will be doing him a world of good in the confidence department. Another yellow flag. That's Amin again.
Yeah, I think there's something a bit off there, Gareth. But just back to Lucas and a few of the drivers behind him. Fresh tyres, excuse me. If he can almost get like a slingshot coming out of turn 11, also out of turn 3 with the extra grip that he has, and he might be able to get a few cars through this section. Just keep an eye on the gap between himself and Placky on the exit of 11 to see whether he can get past a few drivers with 8 laps remaining of this race. But further ahead, Axe has lost a place to Sam. They're dueling away, and this will help Lucas in all this fighting between these guys. And Axe will be under pressure here, Gareth. He's 2.1 seconds behind Sav, and he's going to be a sitting duck coming down this pit straight.
He is. Otis Lawrence has caught a little bit to Nick, so that's going to be interesting. But here comes McCabe Sam up the inside of the start-finish straight, and move is done. But LCR Leopard's trying to get in on the action as well. But will LCR Leopard take McCabe Sam as they head into turn 1? It's going to be side by side. There's a little bit of contact between the two of them, unsettling the Aston, but not enough, I don't think. And yeah. Oh, what is going on? What is that? FRA Placky as well, a Fern picking up a penalty.
Yeah, I think he binned it at turn 17 again, Gareth, but no damage luckily to the front wing of that McLaren, as Amin also around just ahead of the cars. So hopefully doesn't affect the front runners. That stricken Alfa Romeo going very slowly. Yeah, hopefully that ghost car doesn't affect any of the drivers as they all go through him. But yeah, it's that Alpha is having real trouble, Gareth.
Yeah, I think it is AI, so I'm not sure why the AI is really is doing that. But Stock's picking up a penalty, and that's not going to do him any good at all. Penalty situation's pretty dire for him, unfortunately. 9 seconds worth there, and Axe really dropping out from that point of view. But let's continue to look at what Scyther can do in attacking Otis Lawrence. We're lap 30 of 36 here, where we saw the champion Otis Lawrence start at the back of the grid. He's currently sat P2, 1.3 seconds behind PSR Nick. I don't think the fireworks are finished here yet.
One thing also note, Gareth, Otis has barely any ERS usage. Coming down the straight, he was down to 0%, while Scyther has got 30-40% left in the tank. So, and you can see that now the gap closed up down to 3/10 coming into turn 4 here. I think Otis is in trouble here. He's got no ERS usage. He might be stuck in no man's land coming on to the pit straight on this lap now. He's lost even a little bit more time to Nick as well. Lost a tenth or two coming into the middle sector here, as Finn Bob gets another penalty to add to his woes. But I think if Scyther can stay with him now, he might have a great opportunity to get past Otis on the start of lap 31.
Maybe. But the other thing you've got to worry about is Otis is catching PSR Nick. It's not quick, but it's enough. And I think that could be the icing on the cake here, because Scyther is probably realising that and knowing he has to do something. But Nick could also be saving ERS. Let's have a look at the ERS usage. Nick has no ERS either. This is incredible. Scyther trying to get the move around the outside of Otis. Otis has the inside for turn 1. Holds the position for now. And this is going to save PSR Nick if Nick is going to win this race.
Yeah, and look at the acceleration difference between the Williams and the Mercedes. He's right on the outside, passing before they even get to the braking zone of turn 4. That is Scyther up into P2. And this is just helping Nick out. A world of good is helping him in the lead of this race, because those two will duel it out now, second and third, and Wilson also trying to get involved with this fight. I mean, could second place get first here? Could Scyther get Nick? I don't know. And Otis Lawrence gets a penalty, Gareth. That's his race over and done with.
The champion has... the champion's been slain. 3 seconds. He's going outside the DRS. The dream is over from first to last, unless something major happens between Scyther and Nick. But Scyther is within nearly in DRS range, and that could help Scyther win this race. And Scyther now has that driver between him and Wilson, but Wilson is going to get past Otis because of that penalty.
Yeah, unfortunately, unless Wilson gets a penalty in all that, as Leopard gets by Sam there. We've got another retirement finish, retired in the pit lane, unfortunately, so we're down to 18 drivers left in this race. But I wonder whether Nick can hold off now, whether he can hold off Scyther. It's come down once again. It was he 1.4, 1.3 to Otis on a few laps ago, but now Scyther is used his ERS usage now compared to Nixon. He's closed that gap down, but it's gone back to fairly equal ERS usage once again with so little laps remaining. I think if Nick can just hold his own here, don't buckle under the pressure, his first win of the season is in his hands here. But for the championship fight for P2 in the standings, Scyther really is going to want to push it and try and take Nick on the last couple of laps of this Grand Prix.
Yeah, Scyther is going to have to try his best. He is within DRS of Nick. This is going to be a battle throughout, and Otis Lawrence is there as well. But the interesting thing is these tyres are going to be very, very worn at the end of this Grand Prix. Are we going to go into puncture territory for some of these guys? And when saying that, Sav and Leopard and Lawrence and McCabe Sam all on 20 lap old mediums.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that, Gareth, with regard to the tyre when it could definitely happen. They've really, I'd love to know what they are at the moment. Stonks gets another penalty down in was it P14, but yeah, that could be a really key point, and especially if they've done a little bit of tyre spinning coming out of especially turn 17 and maybe even turn 5 here. So keep an eye on that with the last couple of laps remaining of this Grand Prix. And yeah, it could happen to anybody with worn tyres, the 20 mark guys in this race.
And just showing Smokey picking up a penalty as well, looking like he was going to get some points, but all of a sudden that penalty's cost him big time. And with these tyres being more and more worn, penalties are more and more likely because they're going to be just understeering, oversteering. It's going to be everything. The tyres aren't going to be nice at all to drive. Scyther trying to size up Nick this time around. I don't think he's going to be close enough, as Otis getting close as well. And don't forget, Otis might be able to get that penalty removed depending where the penalties were and whether he takes it to the stewards or not. So it might not be over for him just yet. He is, well, there's a second separating the top 3. That's how close it is at the moment.
Yeah, as Scyther gets a big slap over, he doesn't lose too much time though in all that action coming out of turn number 3. But no, I think it's a little bit of lag because it reminds me when he was on the grass. So Blackie fast lap of the race, 17 flat. Blackie down in P16 on the soft tyres to try and get our attention. I think Gareth's going to take it off for the front runners here, but Nick still holding the lead, Gareth, still doing a phenomenal job leading away. You know, like you mentioned, he's so young, and the pressure on his shoulders right now, I'd hate to be in this situation. I'd buckle under that pressure, but he's doing a fantastic job. And we've only got 2 and a bit racing laps left of this Grand Prix.
It's getting close to the... Well, we're heading on to the penultimate lap. That's how close it is. Lap 35 of 36 is what they're just about to start. Seidler and Otis don't have much time to get themselves attacking the McLaren, who is leading the way. He's done a fantastic job so far tonight. Here comes Seidler, though. He's starting to turn the pressure up, starting to turn the screw. He's getting close to the back end of that McLaren. Stonks picks up another penalty. Surely that's a retirement as he goes to the pits, unless he's trying to go for fastest lap, but we'll wait and see. Seidler, is he going to make a move down into turn 4? Is he going to break the heart of the McLaren driver, or is he going to wait just one more lap? Let's see how this one will pan down, but this has been incredible racing by these guys so far.
Yeah, it's been great. As Placky has another penalty, more yellow flags. I think that's Placky retiring from the session, it looks like, in all that. But can Nick hold off the second place man, a Williams man who's been hunting him throughout most of this Grand Prix? He did get, he had pole. Nick took it off him, but Seidler, can he hold him back? Can he do anything to stop him? He's going to be in a really tricky situation, Gareth, if he can't get a good exit out of the final corner here. Otis is there as well, trying to get involved with the top 2 here. He may be able to throw his hand into the final lap here. We come around the final corner, lap 36 of 36. Here we go. Can Nick hold Seidler off? We'll have to wait and see.
The throttle input was so tentative from Seidler around turn 17. Nick is saving ERS. There's a Mercedes right in the way, but I don't think it's going to cost too much. I think the ERS has been saved for Seidler for this attack, and this attack only. Turn 4, they're going to go down to. Is Nick going to win this one? This is probably where it's going to be one. Seidler does not make a move. I think that is Nick's race.
Well, Gareth, don't count your chickens before they hatch, because there could be a move coming into turn 12, the 3rd DRS zone at this circuit. There's another back marker up ahead as well, and that could be distraction for Nick, but either gets a poor entry to turn number 7 there, and I think, like you mentioned, I think this is Nick's race now. Unless there's a huge error from Nick, he's won this Grand Prix.
It's cracking stuff. Otis is under immense amount of pressure from Wilson, having to defend. It goes one side, but it doesn't happen. Wilson can't get past on this occasion. Let's go on board with what should be the race winner, barring something incredibly insane. PSR Nick, 22 laps he's been on these medium compound tyres, and he's won WOR Tier 1 around Mexico with Seidler alongside him. There is Otis Lawrence's spinning Mercedes, and I wonder if that's a puncture for him. But what a race we had on our hands. And surely that is WOR Smokey outside of the points. He's going to be 4th by the end of this in the overall championship.
Smokey will be kicking himself after getting that drive-through penalty earlier on. And yeah, that Smokey's P2 championship out the window. I don't know. There's still 2 races left of the season to go. But Seidler will be happy with that. But like you mentioned, Gareth, doesn't that gain that many points on Wilson with all that action that happened this evening? So, but still 2 races left of the season, and we've seen how fantastic this race has been, and I'm sure the rest of the season will be exactly the same. But you have to take your hat off to Nick, Gareth. You know, first win of the season, and that was a great job from him as Otis Lawrence gets the driver of the day. I'm sure we can debate that later on. But yeah, what a race that was from Nick, and with all the pressure that was on his shoulders, managed to hold off such talent that was behind him. And yeah, it was a great performance from Nick.
Definitely a cracking performance from him. The game's given the driver of the day to Otis Lawrence, but you know what? I'm going to have to disagree. He did drive through the field brilliantly, but it's this man who took first place, who I think deserves it. What a race for PSR Nick. Absolutely incredible stuff. Now, before we get back to the camera screens for me and for Ollie, we will go down the order for your Mexican Grand Prix here in WOR Tier 1. Nick, your victor, starting second on the grid finally getting past Scyther and then never looked back. Really had a little bit of pressure from him at the end. Then we had, obviously, Scyther in second place. PSL Wilson does claim third, with Otis Lawrence in fourth, who did come from 20th on the grid. Fifth was Sav. Leopard in sixth. Seventh to McCabe Sam. Eighth to M Racer. Ninth to Axe. And rounding out the points scoring finishing was Lucas in the end there. Smokey, Connor, 2D, Finn Bob, Fern, Stonks did not finish this race. Amin and Placky, well, Amin was an AI car and Placky crashed out late on, with Finn and Choco crashing out earlier as well. What a crazy race we have had here, though. Ollie, it's been fantastic.
Yeah, that was fantastic, and Tier 1 definitely matches Tier 2 and Tier 3 when it comes to comms. Gareth, it's been a fantastic evening, and some great quality racing, which shows why Otis was champion, and secured the championship early as well, going from last to first, especially at a circuit like Mexico, which is not an easy track to overtake at, a limited overtaking opportunity, and he flew through the grid. But it wasn't all rainbows for him. He obviously get that penalty near the end and cost him down to fourth place in the end, while Nick and getting that first win. I think it was great for him, and I think I completely agree with you. Driver of the day for the McLaren driver.
Now we will see if any of the drivers will go into the waiting room to have a chat tonight. It's been a very, very entertaining race. I tell you what, go back and watch it, because there has been some phenomenal action given on show, and exactly what these guys are about. Obviously, that sprinkle of controversy was always there as well, but we'll wait and see. As an overall, obviously from a tier 2-3 background, how does that rate in comparison?
I mean, it's very exciting. I can't discount the fact that Tier 2 and Tier 3 are very exciting as well, Gareth. Don't want to slate those guys, but it was great racing. A few less penalties than Tier 2 and Tier 3, but that's not to take anything away from those guys. But it was great racing. I think it's been great racing throughout the season, in all tiers, really. And Tier 1 obviously is the pinnacle of WOR, and it showed there tonight with some great defending. Slav's defensive job, I know I've mentioned it a few times, but that was great defending from him. Otis going through the grid, great defensive job from Nick and Wilson and a few of the guys near the top. It was non-stop throughout that race, and I'd love to come back one time and do that all again, because that was brilliant.
Right, I have just asked if there is any podium interviews. That's why I had the sheer concentration on my face there. Just asked the top three if they wanted to come in the chat. Let's see what comes back with that one. If not, it doesn't matter. It's been a cracking race. I would like to hear them. It's been one of those races where we've not had Otis Lawrence had everything go his way, but he did start at the back of the grid. But looking at that, it's going to be an interesting one. I think Scyther only, was 3 points claimed over Wilson. Smokey getting no points, but so they will both overtake them. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe that race in one word. Ryan Jacobs 5.0, what would you say?
Oh, that race in one word? Enthralling. Big word for me. Enthralling. I mean, you could use a plethora of words to describe that Grand Prix. It had almost everything. I think the only thing we're missing was a VSC and maybe a little bit of rain to add more things to the pot. That was a fantastic race. I no complaints really. Maybe my only complaint was the AI car of Ami. The end of the race, cool, but that did cause safety cars, which added more excitement to it. So I'm not sure I can blame him too much, but that was a really good race to watch, and hopefully the drivers will enjoy watching that one back later on.
It's definitely one to watch out for, but I don't think we're going to get anyone in tonight, so that's a shame. However, it's Yeah, it's just one of those things, isn't it? We will be back next week for the Brazilian Grand Prix here at Monday night, Tier 1. However, Tier 2 and 3, Ollie, over to you.
Thank you very much, guys. We will be live tomorrow night at 8 o'clock for Tier 2 and Tier 3. We've only got 2 races left in our standings as of tomorrow. We've got Mexico and Brazil to finish off the standings, and it's still all to play for in Tier 2 and Tier 3. So tune in. It'll be, I'm pretty sure both tiers will be streamed either on YouTube or Twitch. So 8 o'clock tomorrow night for more action here in WOR. Yes.
There is plenty of action still to watch. Please check out the Twitter. That is going to be all from... Actually, no, wait. Let's do one more plug. For WR Legacy Division on Friday, that is going to be an absolute incredible... I've just... Never mind. I've just seen what was said in the Div 1 chat. But yeah, we will be back in Legacy Division on Friday, or I will be. Hopefully with Callum G on for that one. And then I will be back for the Brazilian Grand Prix next time before finishing the season. It's going to be a cracker no matter what. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you there.